Oh, hey folks, how you doing? It's coming up on 10 o'clock, and I've looks to me, although we'll see, it looks to me like I was able to make it through here. One of the things that I had to do was to get back and forth from work here, and I'm in Palm Beach County now. I live down South Broward, which is right by Miami-Dade, County. So it has been a nightmare to try to come in and work this job. Not because it's hard, but because my car has drove me literally mad. The alarm goes off and I can't stop it. It stops when it feels like stopping, and it goes off when it feels like stopping. So for the last, I think it's around 5 months now. I think it began in about, it was like about March or April. It's been a while. My key went bad on my car, so I tried to get another key. But it still runs the car, but it won't turn off the alarm. And I went there, and the guy cut the key. He did all the work, and he said, "Does your light go on right by your lock of the thing that goes up and down on your door, the lock?" And I said, "It did, but now it doesn't do it anymore. The light is off." He says, "Well, we can't make you a key." So, as a result, for the last 6 months, I would estimate, I was not able to control my alarm on my car. And sorry, I dropped the phone there again, because I did a whole video before this, so I might repeat myself. I did unbelievable, terrible stuff here because, speaking of drinking, every time I came in here, if that alarm goes off, it threatens my job. And it happened 2 days ago. One of the board members heard it go off, but he couldn't identify it quick enough. And he came in here. I didn't even know because I didn't even hear it. But he came in and he said, "What is all this racket about?" And I said, "Pardon me?" He said, "I'm one of the board members and somebody has an alarm going off." I said, "I don't know. I didn't hear it," which was the truth. I knew it was mine though. And people only put up with that in these $1 million homes for so long. That was a genuine problem. Across the street there's a tow-away zone. Who knows? So what I've had to do is I've had to disconnect my battery from my car multiple times a day, some days. So last week, that bastard, I think it was this day, I think it was Wednesday, it went off about 25 times on my way home, and it takes about an hour to get home. It's unbelievable. So I'm driving with my alarm all going off on the car. Hence, drinking? Let me tell you something, folks. That was one of the most difficult things, dealing with that fucking alarm on my car. And you know what was one of the saddest days? I finally figured it out. I thought I beat my car. I thought I figured it out. I went into the fuse panel and I said, "Aha! Horn!" We disconnect it. No horn, but at least it'll silence the alarm. So I took the thing out, the fuse to the horn, and it was one of the saddest times that I can recall, because that alarm still went off a couple minutes later and I couldn't stop it. It was just so ridiculous. It was so ridiculous. So my car became a jalopy, and it's so bad right now that it's the shifting. I no longer have second gear, and it's only because of my cleverness. Because I had a friend like that. His name was Richard. He was a cokehead, But he was a young guy. His dad was caught up in it. He was a young guy. He was like 19 years old, 18 years old. But he's a nice guy. And he used to work with me cutting grass. He really liked me too. I came back from the Philippines after a year, and he came back and he squeezed me. Saw me at Walmart, and he goes, Paul! I couldn't believe it. I liked him a lot. He was a nice guy. He's still around, but I don't know what's going on with him. I haven't seen him in a long time. He's a good guy. I wanted him to download a movie called Crazy Larry and Dirty Harry and Crazy Mary and Dirty Harry, whatever it was the one with that Susan George and Peter Fonda and the other guy, and they rob a place, and they try to take off and get away, and they drive in a fast car, and this girl's going with them, with these two guys, and she's just like a ditz, and I'm trying to remember what this has to do with the story. Don't worry, I'll remember. I'm trying to remember the thing. Hang on, let me, I've got a brain fart here, hang on. Oh, I remember now. So I was trying to get this movie loaded up on my new laptop at that time. I had a beautiful 17-inch Toshiba or whatever it was. And I couldn't do it. And that kid wasn't overly smart, but he just kept trying things until to see if it could work. And he was able to download that video disc directly onto the hard drive. I still don't know how he did it, but I wound up selling it, but it was there on the hard drive. So this kid just did a lot of things, and that's what I did. I lost second gear. I still don't have second gear on my car, but I didn't have first gear. I came to work about a month and a half ago, and I put it in first gear, and it was acting like second gear. And sure enough, first gear became second gear. And I couldn't figure it out. And let me tell you something, that'll work okay if you have the flat area. But once you get on a hill, second gear ain't gonna get you done. You gotta have first gear. If you're on a hill, you'll burn it up quick. And especially, we have one part here where we go up and over by the Florida airport, by Fort Lauderdale Airport, and it constantly backs up over there. And I said, I got to do something. So what I did is I took the leather, I cut the leather off of the shifter, and that exposed the area there. Wasn't much there, but it exposed it. And I wanted to see what was going on. So at long last, I figured out that, you see, you're supposed to push down and to the left and then up, and that gives you reverse. But what happened was I had to push down and go to the left and push up, and that was first gear, which I still have. And it's not terribly hard to get into, although it's not so easy anymore, especially trying to push start my car. You know, I did that for fucking 2 years. Every time I started the car, I tried to find a place where I could push it. So that was another thing you guys don't know about. But anyways, so what I did was, by finagling in there, just using my natural curiosity, I was able to find first gear by pushing down, going to the left and up. That meant I had no reverse. So I tried to remedy that as well. So what I did was I started fucking around with it and trying to get to go down and to the right and then up. And what happened was, there's a little flat bar there where the gear shifter is on the base, and I realized if I pushed it down, that little bar, that if I worked and finagled with it, I could find reverse. And sometimes I can get it quick, and sometimes it's not quick, but I can get it. Because that's another problem. You know, if you want to park in the shade, or if you know, whatever, you don't want to back up, you want to back, you don't want to, you know, go out backing up, etc., etc. So through my natural curiosity, I was able to do it. And I was able to get reverse and first gear. The price now is I don't have second gear anymore. So the rest of it works. But man, and the other thing was, 2 nights ago, I left my work here up in Palm Beach, and I think I mentioned it in my other video. Fuck, I've never been in traffic like that. The closest exit was about 2 miles. And it was solid wall of traffic without movement. Maybe 5-6 feet every minute or two. That's it. I ain't kidding either. So it had a service way on the right-hand side, but it was a rough one. And I don't have a spare tire on my car. So that's a problem. And I didn't want to take a chance on it, but I did. I'm glad I did, because I went about 3/4 of a mile with that thing. And that was probably another hour I would have had to wait there. So, and then it had these like ridges there, and it kept bouncing the car. It was really weird, stupid. And finally got off, and I thought my car was going to overheat because it was all jammed in. There was nowhere to take your car and pull it off. If it overheated, and a couple people were already overheating, because I spent an hour and 30 minutes on that fucker. Could not get off. That exit was extremely long. It was like a 2.5 mile exit. And the closest I could get to. Fuck, man, that was awful. But anyways, what this has to do with my son and my relationship, I don't know. But I'll tell you something, Rudy. A lot of people understand exactly what I'm saying. It's probably because you're not a dad. And it's probably because you never took anything out of your mouth and gave it to someone else that, because you're hungry. But that's what a real man does. A real man takes care of his family. If he can't have sex for 13 years, that's the cost of it, Rudy. And that's how I subscribe to that philosophy. So hopefully I'll be able to do something next year, hopefully. But we'll see, all right? And otherwise, it's good to have everybody here. Rudy, don't be surprised if people agree with me on this. The most bang you can get for your buck is the Peaky Blinders cosplay. There is simply nothing that gets close to that. Not Star Trek, not Star Wars, not whatever that movie from Miami when the guy comes over here from Al Pacino. What is that called? Nothing gets close to the Peaky Blinders. Because there's an aura about it. And you don't understand how hurtful it is for a father to buy the son clothes, really handsome looking clothes, and then tailor them, have them go in and tailor it. And they went in and tailored it. I got them for my wife. My wife wore it. And then my son wouldn't even put it on. It's about as low as you can get. And only a father will understand that. And he wouldn't even put it on. He would have looked so handsome in that suit that I can't tell you. And that really hurts as a father. But my son is so stupid, he can't understand anything but fucking video games. You understand? I mean, I was this close to getting him flashcards. Because he's mathematically fucking illiterate. He's also, in English, he's got a very poor vocabulary. I tried to work with him my whole life with him. He didn't want to do it. So what am I supposed to do? Stand on my head? I begged him to learn English by watching movies, by listening to songs and so forth and so on. The easiest way you can do it, he couldn't do it. He might have talked to me every 2-3 months. That's it. So don't think that there are not many people who can relate to this and that this sounds all wacky. It is not. My son has serious issues. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. Was it in Milwaukee? I forget where it was, but it's somewhere in the north. And this guy had serious problems. He was a young guy. He was like 18 or 19. And he had some very dark thoughts in his head, and he had, I remember the kind of kids they were. It was back in I think it was 79. I'm not sure. It was it 89? It was like 87. I forgot now. But I know the kind of kids those were. We used to call them grits. The kind of kids that were smoking pot, usually white. and that's how they were. That's how these kids were, kind of. But this kid was into something dark because he didn't like the girl that his mother let stay at the house with them. And she was a good girl. She was just a little lost, Maybe she wanted to get a tattoo, and the mom didn't understand it. They were from a religious family, etc., etc. It was still out in the sticks somewhere there, too. So, we're not talking about city dwellers here. And they offered the girl a haircut, and he made a plan with his friend, who was equally dangerous, to invite her downstairs to the basement to give her a haircut, and they cut her head off. I'm not making this up. And I mean, like, with all the trimmings. And he took the head and he put it into his freezer. And somehow he was under the impression that others kind of understood what he was thinking. And it meant something to him, and he wanted the parts of the body. He also wanted the fingers. He wanted to wear her finger as a ornament on a neck chain, and he felt like people would understand this. I'm not making any of this up. And they didn't know how. Excuse me. So he said that during his interviews, he said that he thought people would understand this a little bit more than they didn't, because they didn't understand it. And he said it had a kind of a dear meaning to him to wear the woman's finger, and he couldn't quite explain it. This guy was completely fucking out to lunch. And the other guy helped him. So they didn't like the girl, they cut her head off. And anyways, what happened, I was on eBay, and I saw about 7 letters that this guy wrote right after he was arrested and in custody. And there were about 6 or 7 letters that he wrote. And I bought it. I got it for, I think, for about $80. And when I got it, it was interesting because I looked at the letters. They were mostly letters to his attorney. And, I just mostly looked at the style of the handwriting. But it was the letter of somebody who had no conscience whatsoever. No conscience. And some very dark things. So the way he got caught was that he put her head in the freezer, and then I think he cut everything else up. Hang on a second, folks. Hold on. I guess he had 2 friends that were girls, and he invited them in, shortly, the next day or something, and he showed them the heads in the freezer. And they basically said, wow, that's really cool. How the hell do we get out of here and get to the police? And that's exactly what they did. And they turned him in, and it was just so bizarre. And I don't want to see my son sharing these kind of psychopathic behavior. That's the big problem, Rudy. And don't think it's a stretch. It's not. What did he do with them? He can't find them. He threw them away or started a fire with it when they cooked their meals. Later. I'll talk to you later. My relief just showed up. Take care. Leave me a like, even if you don't like it. And show up tomorrow for the Mickey Mouse Club. Bye.